Okay, fellow exile. I see you weren't pleased with my little joke on how to access Sanctum League content in Crucible League. While I understand it was a bit harsh to bait you in like that, promising you access to the depths of Lycia's knowledge and creations once more, your angry down-thumbing was still expected, honestly. Regardless, today I'm coming at you with a more sincere look at Sanctum League. It's not how you can only access it through the hideout music changer in Crucible League, but how grinding gear games can implement the entirety or parts of the Forbidden Sanctum in the future, whether that's PoE's 3.22 expansion, PoE 2, or beyond. Not the original League mechanic, which is dead, but the time. We're going to talk about the Forbidden Sanctum in this order. 1. A brief summary of what Sanctum League was. 2. Methods of implementation. 3. Reworked rewards. And 4. The problem with sanctified relics. Let's go. In case you missed it or don't recall, the Forbidden Sanctum was Path of Exile's 3.20 expansion and ran from December 2022 to March 2023. In Sanctum League, us exiles were able to interact with a mysterious rune near the Fellshrine ruins called the Forbidden Sanctum. Inside, we worked with a Templar named Divinia to uncover the lost secrets of the hidden sanctuary and uncover the vile horror deep beneath it. Essentially, it was a roguelite. Exiles could progress through the sanctum, one room and floor at a time, and earn currency rewards. At certain intervals, you'd be rewarded with a choice. Take a reward now, at the end of the floor, or at the end of the sanctum. Consistently, you'd gain buffs called boons and detriments called afflictions. Some were massive, and some were almost inconsequential. In addition to your health, you had a new life bar called Resolve, incentivizing you to not get hit by well-telegraphed monster attacks. Every floor ended with an interesting boss, with the entire sanctum concluding with a double-header boss fight against a fallen Templar named Lycia, once in the sanctum and once in a realm beyond. In addition to special unique items, Lycia always dropped a sanctified relic, an additional piece of gear that could have one or two modifiers that ranged in power from minimal to massive. In Sanctum's original implementation, these were account-bound, allowing players to strategize how they could best use sanctified relics on their current build or create a new character entirely built around a sick sanctified relic. Succinctly, the Forbidden Sanctum introduced a ton of content to Path of Exile and was well received, but it's completely absent from Path of Exile in the present day. How can we bring it back? One method of implementing the Forbidden Sanctum would be in the form of a new master, Divinia, the Master Lord Keeper. Possible in the 3.22 expansion or patches afterward, we could meet Divinia in Act 2 when we discover the Fellshrine runes. In the zone, she could lead us to a secondary unburied point of interest, the Forbidden Sanctum. Initially, we could only explore the first and second floors. During this initial expedition, we could unlock basic relics to affect our runs. However, when we revisit Fellshrine in Act 7, Divinia would be there awaiting us, ready to showcase the third and fourth floors. In addition, we'd begin finding sanctified relics. Don't worry, we'll touch more on sanctified relics and other rewards later, as I mentioned. Resolve would remain a mechanic, and the master missions would be sorted as follows. White. An entrance to the Forbidden Sanctum appears in your map, it's for one room. Yellow. An entrance to the Forbidden Sanctum appears in your map, it's for 2 to 3 rooms. And red. An entrance to the Forbidden Sanctum appears in your map, it's for 4 to 6 rooms. If you begin a new Sanctum run with a red tier master mission, you can choose to start with a challenge relic attached. The no-hit run relic, the no resolve gain relic, and some new ones. Twinned boss relic, please? This implementation, of course, would be far more involved in the map than any other master, if you choose it so. In addition, you can bank an entire run of the Sanctum instead of completing it in chunks. This would likely balance it out with other master mechanics such as Einhar's Menagerie, June's Safe Houses, Alva's Temple, and Kirik's... it should balance it out. In addition, this means Sanctum would fully be on the Atlas passive skill tree. I have a few cool ideas for keystones. If you have any, add them in the comments. Here are 2. Master Scourge Summoner. Sanctum floor bosses have a 33% chance to be accompanied by a random Beyond boss. Lycia has an additional 33% chance to be accompanied by 2. And the other, Definitive Dereliction. Your maps contain 75% less monsters. Your Sanctum entrances lead to double the rooms. Are these broken? Probably, but they're merely an idea. Let's blaze on. Another way of reintroducing the Forbidden Sanctum could be a series of unique maps, sort of similar to the method GGG placed Synthesis back into the game. Each map could be its own floor, with the final floor culminating in a fight with Lycia in her normal and true form. An extremely rare version of the map could be found that contains all 4 floors and simulates the no-hit challenge from Sanctum League. At the end, if you succeed, you'd be rewarded with the original sin. Through this method, I don't think there'd be a need to implement any relics besides sanctified ones. The resolve mechanic, thusly, could also fade into nothingness. Like Synthesis, there could be a wheel on the Atlas passive skill tree for these maps for those who really enjoy the content or believe it's profitable. The final means of inserting the Forbidden Sanctum back into the game could arrive in Path of Exile 2. We know GGG planned on introducing a new way of ascending in PoE 2's campaign, leaving the Labyrinth in PoE 1. What if the path to ascension in Path of Exile 2 was found through the Forbidden Sanctum? You'd unlock your ascendancy by beating floor 1, your next 2 points when you overcome floor 2, the next 2 after smashing floor 3, and the final set when you defeat Lycia's true form in the Beyond Arena. Regular relics would still be gone, farewell, but sanctified relics would be PoE 2's version of helm enchantments. Going this path means the Labyrinth would still provide value for those seeking to max out their builds, continuing to ensure it's the only place to enchant helmets, belts, boots, and gloves. If GGG seeks to remove the lab entirely, they could instead revamp sanctified relics to literally house the effects helm enchants currently do, but I'm not sure that's the greatest idea. To bring it back to the game, I'd add the original sin to Lycia's loot table at an extremely low chance, alongside all her other unique items and sanctified relics. Those are the 3 ways GGG could implement the Forbidden Sanctum in my eyes, but could its rewards use a rework too? I think so. It could be rather basic too. Instead of pure raw currency, each type of room could also have a specific reward type attached as with many other leagues. The same 3 choices system would remain with alterations, depending on the implementation, but with new items. Here are some examples. Pick from 3 corrupted weapons. Pick from 3 enchanted boots. Pick from 3 fragments. Pick from 3 unique maps. GGG could also, as they love to do, add a jackpot room of sorts that widens the selection to 6 or 9. However, it might come with an extreme downside, such as 3 major afflictions or substantial resolve or inspiration loss. This would be an interesting change and keep Sanctum from becoming a pure currency grind. Sanctified relics now. Yay or nay? I say yay. Many say nay, and I understand their argument. To steal man at best, other exiles do not want to lock such a substantial, additional, and powerful piece of gear behind a certain piece of content in the game. That makes sense, especially if sanctified relics remain account bound. It would force every single player to enter the Forbidden Sanctum if they wanted to push their build to maximum power, right? That's not inherently fair. Well, that occurs in many places throughout PoE, although it's not a brand new gear slot. Heist enchanted armaments give weapons and armor pieces plenty of power. The lab gives belts, helmets, and lots of skills a huge boost. Countless uniques found in only select pieces of content do the same. Legion 5 ways grant a 5th map device slot. However, none can be compared to sanctified relics, which are blatant build enablers and super power creep. That leaves 4 options, in my view. 1. Don't include sanctified relics. 2. Include sanctified relics as account-bound items. That's my personal favorite idea. 3. Include sanctified relics, but they only affect your Sanctum gameplay, like heist trinkets. And 4. The final, probably best option, include sanctified relics as tradable items. This allows those in trade leagues to find the perfect sanctified relic for their character, even if they never want to step foot in the Forbidden Sanctum. Even though I think a single completion should be mandatory to unlock the sanctified relic slot. Those who play SSF can choose to find sanctified relics by exploring Sanctum content, or they can ignore it, like lots of other content in the game that gives immense power with some investment. Sanctified relics are simple but powerful additions to PoE. They're a great mechanic to add and spice things up. Not only could they contribute a new bit of power to an existing build, they could enable entirely new builds and inspire people to create truly awesome characters they otherwise wouldn't. In my perfect PoE, GGG would add Divinia as a master and allow us to access the Forbidden Sanctum through her and her missions. They would add Sanctum to the Atlas passive skill tree. They would revamp Sanctum rewards to include more than currency. And finally, they would keep Sanctified Relics in their original implementation as account-bound items. That's all I wanted to muse about today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Palamoana.